Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 101 Great Goals for this week's edition of Talking Points. And it's the last edition of the regular season because it culminated in the Champions League final. I don't really want to be here as a Manchester City fan, but we have to power through regardless. So this week, I'm joined by broadcaster, presenter, Jonny Gould, Aston Villa fan as well. Jonny, thank you very much for joining me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, George.
So, coming up on this week's show, obviously, we're going to be discussing the Champions League final. How could we do this without discussing the Champions League final? What does it mean for Chelsea? What does it mean for City now? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and is he the right man to lead Manchester United? Of course, they lost the Europa League final last week on penalties to Villarreal, and what a penalty shootout it was as well. And if we get enough time, Pochettino back to Spurs and what that could mean for them. But Jonny, first of all, Champions League final. It was a good game, to be fair, I imagine, for a neutral.
It really was a good game, and they went full leather, didn't they? And I just expected it to be a little bit more protectionist from the teams. But Tuchel really is a master tactician. He's taken Lampard's team and made it exciting. And if people are thinking about a cheeky, nailed-on bet for the Premier League next season, Chelsea look like they're going to challenge the likes of Manchester City for the Premier League title next season. Of course, it was the yardstick that provided for Liverpool's Premier League win of a couple of seasons ago in winning the Champions League. It's funny that the bigger prize is usually the motivation to win the harder one, of course, which is the Premier League. But Chelsea really are on their way, and Tuchel is, for me, the real candidate maybe to win Premier League Manager of the Year. I know Pep Guardiola will win that, of course, because they keep winning things. Manchester City are the favourites in every single tournament they enter. I would say for any Manchester City fan who's upset, this is certainly not the end of the project. There's no talk of Pep Guardiola leaving. There's no better club, I think, for him to be at the moment. There's no Barcelona calling for him with they're completely inferior as a club now in many ways, with Messi heading towards either the exit door or into the autumn of his career. They've really got a good thing going on, and I'm going to say this as a comfort for Manchester City fans. It reminds me a little bit of the last time Chelsea won Champions League. They won it in the Allianz Arena against Bayern Munich, and what did Bayern Munich do? The year later, of course, they won it. They used it as a motivational yardstick to go on and win the title the following year. It also reminds me of the greatest sports event I ever had the privilege of seeing there, and that was at Centre Court at the All England Lawn Tennis Championships, when I saw Rafa Nadal beat Roger Federer in the greatest game of tennis ever played, denying Roger Federer that sixth title in a Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe kind of way. Mm-hmm. And what happened the following year? Roger Federer didn't crumble like Bjorn Borg. He came back and, of course, he won it. So if you want a clever bet on the bet, this is my double next year. City to win the Champions League, Chelsea to win the Premier League.
I mean, yeah, it will serve as motivation. Surely, it's got to, hasn't it? Like, for Manchester City to get so close, but again, make progress and hopefully fuels them for the next year, because I think they're the 9th team now in a row that haven't won the Champions League at their first attempts, and it's a pretty prestigious list before them as well. So, just going on to Chelsea, then. I mean, the job that Thomas Tuchel has done there, he's come into the club. First of all, he's not had a transfer window, and he's took over someone else's squad. He's come through midway, a squad that was underperforming. He's got them into the top 4, and he's won the Champions League with them. That's nothing short of remarkable, is it?
It's amazing, and of course, it's the Chelsea way. Sack your manager in the middle of the season, win the Champions League. Roberto Di Matteo did it with Chelsea, of course, and then, of course, he managed to find his job at Schalke. And then to us at Aston Villa, where his career kind of at the highest level came to an end. But Tuchel is a completely different proposition. He's already an elite coach. And when his time at Chelsea comes to a premature end, which is approximately when they lose 3 games in a row and find themselves in 6th, that's the sort of club they are. There'll be a Real Madrid, there'll be a Barcelona, there'll be a Spurs, there'll be a Manchester United coming for him, because, quite frankly, he is the hottest managerial property in the world.
So, in terms of Chelsea, then, what do you think the Champions League win could mean for them in terms of future? Do you actually think it changes anything in terms of their recruitment or how much money they're going to spend in the summer and how they look at Thomas Tuchel? Because, like you say, it's a bit of a revolving door at Chelsea, and even a Champions League win might not secure his future. But going more towards next season, you fully expect them to be challenging for the Premier League title.
Yeah, I mean, which young Brazilian player, Spanish player, Croatian player wouldn't want to come and play at Stamford Bridge? We're out of lockdown very soon. You know, it is the most glamorously positioned football stadium in Europe, on the edge of the King's Road by Fulham Broadway. I mean, it's without a shadow of a doubt, George, that Chelsea are the biggest club in Fulham. You know, they are. And and you know, it's a wonderful platform to play on. So they will attract the best players. I am looking forward to N'Golo Kante winning the World Player of the Year award. There's another tip. What a fantastic season he's had. What an elevation he's had. And, you know, he has achieved so much in the most unlikely of fashions, hasn't he? I mean, he's won everything. He's won the World Cup. He's won the Premier League, not just with Chelsea, but he's won it with Leicester. And now he's a Champions League winner. He's the absolute enforcer. I mean, really, I'm trying to think of anyone bigger or better than him this season that deserves the award. Chelsea obviously have players, English and foreign actually, who are doing a very good job. We are excited about Mason Mount. We're excited about Ben Chilwell. You know, they've always had this sort of strain of English players too. We go back to Terry and Lampard and Joe Cole, etc. Not all of them were homegrown there, I can tell you, as you know. But nevertheless, they have this sort of this blend, this determination not to become a sort of Harlem Globetrotters of football. There is a determination that the team actually comes before the manager in many ways, which is it's like a poison chalice, but it's a poison chalice made of diamonds and golds, because every manager that leaves that club, his career isn't really damaged, and he ends up with, I don't know, £4 or £5 million in his back pocket, or even more, to move his career on. So I'm very confident that Tuchel will be invested in, and if it's not Tuchel, it'll be the director of football above him who'll be invested in. It's the Chelsea way. And it's very difficult to argue against it when, you know, money seems to be no object. I mean, at a club like mine, at Aston Villa, heaven forfend, you know, if Dean Smith moved on, yeah, our project would sort of come to an end and we'd have to start again. And then there'd be talk about Jack Grealish moving on. And I don't want to talk about it. It sounds terrible. And it's not happening. It's not happening. But someone like Tuchel, they said their managers seem to be sort of, you know, they produce a new dynamic for the team, but, you know, woe betide, anything goes wrong over a period of 4 calendar weeks and they're out, but the team continues to go. And so Frank Lampard, you know, Mr. Chelsea, though he may have been alongside John Terry, he is completely expendable, and it's taken him a little while, I think, to come to terms with his sudden sacking at Chelsea.
I mean, you talk about managers there and the revolving door at Chelsea, which is it's well documented, and I think it's just a fact of football now. It's as if the spinning of the earth and the oxygen that we breathe in, it is what it is with Chelsea. On the other side, then, with Manchester City, Pep Guardiola seems to be really happy at Man City, and he's openly said himself at another club he may have faced a sack after that first season, and he just feels like he's got the full support of the board, which maybe is on the flip side of Chelsea, and he'll probably still have the full support, even though they've lost the Champions League final. Is it a bit of a scary proposition now that City have taken a knock, and now they have a full transfer window to go and try and put it to right?
It's a very high level knock, George. I mean, City won the Carabao Cup again, and they won the Premier League. And of course, there are two challenges, very, very focused challenges for City now, which is that of all the titles that you've won, you've never won them consecutively. City win one, and then they give another team a chance, Chelsea or Liverpool or even Leicester, and they don't retain the title. And that was the sort of great legacy that was built from Liverpool, that throughout their managerial sort of roller coaster of Shankly and Paisley and Fagan and Dalglish, and that's kind of where it ended. They kept on winning titles, and only Villa and Forest and Everton came in and went away. And Liverpool sort of kept going on and on and on. So City have a title to retain for the first time. They have a Carabao Cup to just keep them entertained in February and March, as they always do. And of course, they have the Champions League to win. And I can't think of anyone better than Pep Guardiola to do that. There's something about the, trying to think of a word better here, but I'm going to go with homeliness about Manchester City that provides a stability. I mean, if you think about Sergio Aguero being at the club for the entire summer years of his career, this is a Latino guy. You know, why would he have come to England, rainy Manchester, and stayed and stayed and stayed? That's the first time that's ever happened. They'd be, you know, on the first boat to Barcelona or to Real Madrid or to Atletico Madrid, but somehow he's culturally nothing to do with Manchester at all, but he spent his whole career there. And the same goes, I think, now for Pep Guardiola. He's now been there a long time, and I think City know they're onto a winner. I really do.
Absolutely. And I will point out we did retain the title in 2018-19. It was that lovely chance. It was that lovely title race against Liverpool. Went to the wire, Vincent Kompany. Yeah. Don't do us out of that one, Jonny.
Was that the one Liverpool deserved to win?
No, absolutely not. It was a good title race, and I'll never give it them. Right, we'll move on from the Champions League final then. Thank the Lord. And we shall go on to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we'll talk about Manchester United then, because they lost the Europa League final last week on penalties. Some say unjust way to go out in a final. Others said that Ole got his team selection wrong. His substitutions were appalling. And it's another season where Manchester United have gone trophyless. It's 4 seasons now in a row. There's been a big call, and it seems to have divided the whole fan base of whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man to lead Manchester United forward. Because I think they've seen what Thomas Tuchel's done at Chelsea, and they're wondering, why does Ole need all this time and all that money when Tuchel can do it in these circumstances? It's completely different, but it's got Manchester United fans thinking, well, at least some of them. What's your opinion on whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man to lead Manchester United forward? I mean, is he a tactician that can take them towards their first Premier League title since 2013?
He is like a symbol of fan resistance at Manchester United. He is adored by the fan base, not just for what he did, all those years ago against Bayern Munich, but actually in what he's achieved with Manchester United. Of course, he is subject to the business of results. Solskjaer and Lampard are, rather similar characters, if you like, and what they represent to their football club. But there's something about Solskjaer that has achieved really quite exceptional things. I don't think many United fans expected them to be runners-up to City, for them to go all the way to the final. Unluckily, because it was the first penalty was missed by the goalkeeper. It was a very unlucky defeat.
It was a great penalty shootout.
It was. I think it was the best penalty shoot I've ever seen. Just the highest quality. Just couldn't believe it. They were all. Really amazing stuff. But United lost. And again, possibly like City, it's a yardstick. There is a different relationship, an unusual one. Actually, it's slightly inexplicable and quite welcome that Solskjaer is so respected and given opportunity by the United fans, and over again. I do think, though, that 5 seasons without a trophy would be a little bit unbearable for United fans, particularly as inevitably City will win at least one next season, probably. And United really need to be among the trophies with Chelsea, City and Liverpool. They just need to be there. And football is cyclical, and they're sort of out of the big 3 at the moment, which is an amazing thing to say when you think about the giant Scotsman from Govan who built that modern tradition at Manchester United. So I think Solskjaer probably has another season. And then, hopefully when we speak again, um, United will have won a trophy and he'll have stayed on, or he would have accepted his fate and, given a jolly good go as United manager and accept that he has to move on without a trophy.
Yeah, I will never go on camera and say I hope Manchester United win a trophy, but I agree with the sentiment. And you know what? I do agree that they've given Ole a lot of respect and they've given him a lot of time, which is something that couldn't be said for other managers. And I think he has that admiration of the fans, and he is probably the man that could just unify the club again, because I think they need that more than trophies at the moment with the ownership and the board and what's going on with the fans. So I think he's actually the glue that's holding it all together at this moment in time. So we have got time to move. Yeah, we have got time to move on then, because there's another manager, Mauricio Pochettino. He has been linked with a move back to Spurs, as he is currently at PSG, won his first few trophies as a manager, and now he's linked with a move back to Spurs. How massive could that be for Spurs in terms of where they go from here? Because it was a dreadful season for them.
You know what? They started with such incredible optimism and they were among the title favourites, and it ended up all broken to pieces. Look at the squad they had at the beginning of the season. They had Son and they had Kane, and they brought in their greatest player, Gareth Bale, in from Real Madrid on loan. Not to mention all the other players around the team. Really, they look like the real deal. And when they sacked Pochettino in favour of a guy who has a reputation for winning trophies, I thought that was a huge gamble, because they sort of looked at the headlines and didn't look at the man and the potential upheaval that he brings with him. Now, he's a short-termist, Mourinho. We know that. He's a spectacular short-termist. At United, they won trophies, and I always remember when they won the Europa League against Ajax. He expressed emotion on the pitch that you rarely see, and I think that was because at that point in his career, he'd found himself the Champions League manager, relegated, if you like, to the Championship of Europe, the Europa League, and that this Europa League title was his elevation back to the big time. And I'm just thinking at his time at Spurs, he kind of lost that mojo a bit, and it happens to many managers. I always remember Zinedine Zidane when he headbutted Materazzi in his second retirement game at the World Cup final, which I was privileged to be a witness to.
Mm-hmm.
He'd had a fourth child. He had a settled home life. He had achieved everything he could as a footballer, and now he has achieved everything he possibly could, even before his second time with Real Madrid. What's left for Zidane, maybe to represent his country as manager? To answer your question, because I've gone off a bit here, Pochettino is like it's like a mistake, a statement that they're never going to make at Spurs from the board, which says, we, the undersigned of the Tottenham Hotspur directorship, admit we made a bit of a boo-boo by sacking Pochettino and replacing him. So here he is again at great expense. We brought him back. I just hope that if Pochettino does re-sign for Spurs, they at least give him the time to be able to restore the fortunes and structure of the club that he left. Because, he really is, like Tuchel, one of the best managers in the world. And frankly, he's taking a bit of a risk going back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
Sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's every decision you make in a high level career, be it in football or media or anything, it takes, first of all, it takes a few years out of your life, and it reduces you. You have to still be pretty well connected to restore your reputation after a bodged sort of career step. And managers who are absolutely enormous in the game, suddenly find themselves out of favour and never employed again. And I'm thinking of the most spectacular version of that, and his name is Alan Kirbishley, who achieved greatness at Charlton Athletic, and finally they've named one of the stands after him, which I'm absolutely delighted about. He then deservedly got the job at West Ham. I think they finished mid-table, and then after about 14 months, he was gone, and he's never ever worked again. I just why did that happen? So I think Kirbishley is a sort of warning to Pochettino about Tottenham.
I think Pochettino will be in the back of his mind. What about Alan Kirbishley? What did he do?
yeah.
But
this is the greatest clip ever.
That's it. I mean, in terms of Pochettino, like you say, one of the great managers, I think, in world football at the moment. Maybe the narrative at PSG hasn't moulded him. He's very much a family man, isn't he, at a football club? And PSG doesn't seem to resemble that. And he does seem like if Pochettino was to come back, it could fix maybe the relationship with the fans, for one, similar to what Ollie's done at Manchester United. But I do think the relationship with the squad, they went from a squad that was arm around the shoulder, Pochettino's like the dad to them, and then they went to Jose Mourinho, who was literally like the horrible uncle who hated them all. But they all wanted to play for him. So, okay, so lastly then, if Pochettino goes back to Spurs and Tuchel signs on long-term at Chelsea, who do you think is getting top four next season? Just one last prediction, because you predicted Chelsea to win the title. Who gets top four next season?
So it is Chelsea, City, Liverpool, and then someone you don't expect. I hope Leicester do it because they are continually going in the right direction. I would love to see Villa continue to improve. We haven't improved significantly in terms of the top half of the table. I think 11th place for Villa is fantastic after last season. Now, gone are the days where Villa used to finish 17th and then second the following year. We've done that quite a few times. We've also finished 7th after finishing 17th, but this is the Premier League and it's rather cash and turnover sensitive. But the club is an amazingly well-run business. I expect Villa to improve another 4 to 5, even 6 places. And with the signings that we're going to make, free of the restrictions of FFP, and by the way, Villa managed them supremely, even if they were still the same regulatory structure. Even then, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to finish top 4, but I think we will surprise a few people next season. I'm going to say that we're going to finish above Leeds and Everton for a starter. I really do, which is that sort of little cluster there, isn't it? Just behind the sort of the big 6, if you like. Can we get to Leicester? I don't know. So I would love to see a surprise club, and I include Leicester perhaps in that surprise. I don't think West Ham will do it again, even though David Moyes is a really good organiser with a good structure. I mean, those years and years and years and years at Everton showed that. So I'm just actually looking forward to a season where it's a little bit mixed up and teams on the descendancy, like Liverpool, it's not been a good season. They've had a strong finish, but it's not been a good season. Arsenal, Spurs, they've they're on the descendancy. They could continue that decline because there are teams just below them who are on the ascendancy, and Villa, Leeds, and Leicester are 3 of them.
Well, there you go then. So if you want to get your bets on, Chelsea to win the Champions League, as Jonny says, Manchester City to win the Champions League, and maybe Aston Villa to be the new West Ham next season. That's all we've got time for, Jonny. Thank you so much for coming on. Really do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, George. I really enjoyed our chat.
It was brilliant.
I think there were so many gambles there that I think that I'm sort of fooling around with other people's money. I think your investments can go up as well as down. I think that's the caveat we need to put in there before you blame us on here for my wacko predictions.
The end of next season, they're going to be coming after you, Johnny, because you've lost
No.
them the mortgage. No, don't put your money on whatever Johnny says. But thank you, everyone, for watching our last talking points of the regular season. We've got some fantastic Euro content coming up, and we're going to have some regular talking points starting with next week as we preview the Golden Boot winner and the tournament itself. So if you do want to check out everything that Johnny does, it's all in the description below, as are all our socials. And if you are new around here, please subscribe to the channel. That's it from us. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you for the Euros.